Hey folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. And today again we will continue with the Professional Ethics by the Chartered Accountant Act 1949. So, in the previous lectures we have already commenced with the understanding of the clause 6, right? So, we have understood what clause 6 is all about, what does that clause say, the entire text of the clause, plus we have also understood what are the various kinds of prohibition that the institute does lay or the council does lay, right, in with respect to the soliciting. Now what is pending with us is to understand those specific prohibitions. What is the thin line difference that prohibits and that allows it? What is it that has to be kept in mind when we go ahead with those things? Right? As I've already discussed, there is a very thin line difference, but you cannot cross the line. So an understanding of all those points is utmost important for us. And you know what? If you look at your past year questions, then when you talk about clause 6, you have had questions from the specific part of soliciting. The number of lists that I have discussed in the previous lecture, you have questions from any one of them. Right? So if you do, you have to be crystal clear with what is allowed and what is prohibited, what is legitimate and what is deemed to be guilty, what makes you guilty of that professional misconduct. Right? So please be careful while I am explaining to you each of those points. So in today's lecture, we'll basically be covering 4 and then 4 in the next and then 4 in the next. Because altogether we have, I guess, 12 or 13 points. So we'll adjust whatever it is, right? So let's commence with it. To start with, the first topic that we had is the advertisement and notes in the press. Now understand, Institute has just one simple reason and logic, that you should not be making any advertisement in order to solicit client. That means an advertisement that is purposely or intentfully made in order to solicit client is definitely prohibited, right? But it also says that if you are making any advertisement for whatever cause it is, whereby you may not be directly soliciting clients, but if it is done in a manner which can be interpreted as soliciting client, then even then you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Now there is an aroma of confusion all around. Now what is the kind of advertisement which can be interpreted so? Right? That is the confusion. Don't worry, that will be cleared right now. Just understand, it is not just your intention, but it is also the interpretation. Because the crux is that the message should not go across that you are looking for clients, that you are trying to solicit client. That is the crux. So your intention or your ignorance is not important. What is important is the message that is communicated, right? So this also goes on to say that, for example, if you are going on for, so it also includes that if you are going ahead, right, to deliver certain letters, or you are circulating certain letters in your society, in your area of operation, or any local boundary, right, then the method of circulating those letters should be a standard method that is generally being used for everybody. Like either send it via post, via those newspaper advertisement, you plug it into the newspaper, you have a delivery boy circulating it, whatever. But if you go ahead with some other method, that yeah, you're inviting people and then giving them the letter, or you are giving the letter along with some gifts or something, whatever it is, I'm talking about any mode which is not very generally followed by the people for advertisement purpose. If you are into any such mode of delivering those letters, then it may be interpreted as soliciting clients. Agreed? Because otherwise people are generally open to things. Yeah, this is how we generally get a letter and we have received it. But if it is something beyond or something different that generally people do not see, then that may again click. Oh, are we so special that he has given us some special treatment? Who is a chartered accountant? Yeah, I'll go and audit with him. Or they may also think, why has he given it to me like that? He has some intentions behind. Right? Try and understand. Institute is not giving you a proper step. This is in, this is out, this is in, this is out. No. The only intention, the sole intention of the institute has to be understood over here and then responded accordingly. Right? So it is not a very fixed thing that yeah, point number A, B, C, D are allowed and D, E, F, G or E, F, G, H, I are prohibited. No. That is why I said there's a thin line difference and it's on us to understand, and it is always debatable. But whatever the institute says, this is what should form part of our answers when we are appearing in our examinations. Right? Now, you know what is canvassing? You must have generally seen canvases around your locality. Somebody selling those Airtel SIMs, Reliance SIMs, they have a canvas. Right? There are a lot of things. So you are not supposed to do personal canvassing for your firm, right? And neither, please pay attention, neither can you go ahead with canvassing for a client of the previous employer, right? You are not supposed to do that. Yes, you can go ahead with canvassing for your client if that is needed at times, but that should be your own client, right? But you are not supposed to go ahead with canvassing for yourself. But again, to all these things, there are certain exceptions. And if I say very precisely, there are 3 specific exceptions. Right? So number 1 exception is something that we have already discussed, whereby a member is allowed to go ahead and request a chartered accountant who is already in practice that, yeah, could you please give me some professional work, right? So that is not about, okay, you are not allowed to canvass, you're not allowed to solicit clients in that manner. No, those kinds of soliciting is allowed. Maybe you're sending him a letter that, yeah, this happens and I just want some client, I'm just starting some new practice, if you could help me with that. You can make a request for sharing clients with him. So in that case, if you're sending a letter and you're sending it with some means which are not generally open or which are not generally followed, that is acceptable. Why? Because you are sending it specifically to that chartered accountant who is in practice, right? And that is already allowed to you in any case. Now, second thing that is allowed or open to you is to advertise the change in your partnership firm, right? For example, Mr. X is leaving your firm as a partner and Mr. Y is joining in as a new partner. So that kind of an advertisement can be floated in the newspaper as well. Or you're dissolving your firm, it's a dissolution, or you have a change in your address, the place of your office, or change in the telephone number, or any certain information. If you have to lay down, then you can use the advertisement media for that, right? But again, you should be very careful that it relates only to a small statement that yes, XYZ chartered accountant had 3 partners, X, Y, and Z, and X has retired and we are taking in W. That is it. Nothing beyond that, right? Or if you are giving a detail or an information about the change in the telephone number or change in the address, again then you will say that yeah, XYZ chartered accountant who had their registered office at this location has now shifted their office from this location to this location. That is it. No further statements should be included over there. Like XYZ chartered accountant who has been into this practice for the past so many years, having some experienced auditors like this, having experience in this and that field, having client base like this, offering these kind of services, clubbed with these kind of services, are changing their office from here to here. No, now that is a method of soliciting. Although you are also passing on an information of change of your location, but you are not only passing on that information. You are giving ahead a certain extended information which leads to solicitation of client, right? And you also have to be very careful as to in what newspaper and what magazine are you giving. Because if you have a customer base in a certain area, then look out for a magazine or the newspaper that caters to that area, not to other areas where you don't have your clients, right? then be also limited to the number of insertions you give. It's not like, okay, for the next 3 months, let it roll on every day. So that anybody looking for a client or looking for an auditor will know that, yeah, this auditor exists, let's go to him. You have contact numbers over there. Hey, look, my contact number has changed. And people say, hey, this is an auditor, we wanted an auditor, let's give him a call. You cannot do like that. There should be the limited insertions. And that is always debatable. Again, that what is the reasonable insertions, right? But it should be reasonable. That is the content what institute wants to lay across. Now you also know that our institute has a journal or the newsletter, right? So that is one place where you can give your advertisement, no problem. Why? Because they are basically circulated within the chartered accountancy community, right? So if you want to provide an information for sharing your professional work, that yeah, I have these clients and I want to share that client with somebody. If somebody is interested, can give me a call, right? Or you're looking for a new partner, you're looking for some employee, or you yourself are looking for some job opportunities. All these things can be given over there. But again, over there, you are not supposed to give it in detail that, yeah, this is my firm and this is our achievements and those are our things and blah, blah, blah. No. It should be a direct name of the accountant under consideration, the accountant concerned, his name, his address, telephone number, email ID, that is it. Nothing more than that. You cannot just go on to take the entire page and give your entire life history over there. No. Right? But since these kinds of solicitations are allowed, why? Because over here you are soliciting your clients, or you are going out to get into the solicitation of clients to some other chartered accountant, and that is always allowed. Right? So will you keep in mind what are the requirements for the advertisement? Just keep one single statement crux in your mind, that it should not lead to solicitation. That is it. Rest you'll understand. Go through the material that you have. Whosoever is the author, whosoever is the tutor, you will get almost the same thing everywhere. Maybe the language will be a little different than what I am talking over here. Right? But once you go through that text and remember what I have explained, you will get to grab each one of it over there. Moving on to the next, you have application for empanelment for allotment of audit and other professional work. Right? Now this is again something you need to understand. Now this is something you need to get a clear understanding about. When we talk about application for empanelment, right? So this already shows that there is a panel and you are giving in an application to get your name registered in that panel, right? Now for what do you want your name to get registered over there, or your name to be registered over there? It is for allotment of the audit or any other professional work. That is what the statement generally says, right? Now you need to understand what are these panels. So if you know and if you have heard about, or if you are into practice and you know with your employer over there, that there are government departments, companies, the PSUs, right, the cooperative societies, banks and other institutions that have their panel, right, a panel of all the chartered accountants, so that when they have their audit work or any professional work that arises, they choose an auditor from the panel that they have already created and then allot the work accordingly. They don't go out hunting for auditors at that point of time, and they will allot work only to the auditors whose name is included in that panel, right? So if you are a chartered accountant, right, take it into yourself, get into the shoes of a chartered accountant, think you have already been qualified. Now if you want to get your name registered in any panel with any government department, bank or anything, what do you do? For example, suppose you're sitting in your office, right? Will you just get down the list of all the banks, all the corporations, everything, and just send out a letter? No, because not all of them may have that panel. Next step, what you can do is that, yes, I'll go ahead and write down a letter to all of them inquiring how many of you have a panel. Now this is where you are guilty of attempting into solicitation. You cannot make those roving inquiries. Hey, do you maintain a panel? This is my detail, this is my fees, keep it. Do you also maintain? Please keep it. If there is something, please look out to me. What is it? That is solicitation. That exactly is solicitation. So that is not allowed. But yeah, if you know that so and so bank and so government department or the PSU or anything, they have a panel already. You are aware of it. How do you get that knowledge? You get the knowledge from your fellow chartered accountants, right? Maybe your senior, your friend, anybody who has their name in that panel already. So you came to know that yeah, they have a panel. Now what do? Now you send them a letter that yeah, you have a panel and I want my name to be registered in that panel so that if you have any audit or any professional work, please look out for me as well. Right? Now you can give such an application that is allowed. But you cannot ask anybody, do you have a panel? Should I apply? No, that is soliciting. Right? You cannot make any roving inquiries. Now there's one more thing. Now what you did is along with sending your name, you have given them the list that these are the kinds of services I provide and this is the fees I charge. Why? Because you think that I will quote a lesser fee and be competitive to the other auditors. Now that is again solicitation and it is not allowed. You can quote their fees only if they ask you, hey, what are you gonna charge? Why? Because that time they have considered your name already. Maybe they are in a process of selecting among the two. That time you can quote your fee. But in advance for every specific service, every specific professional work, you cannot say this is the fees I charge. Right? So that you think I'll get an extra edge in the panel, that is solicitation and that is not allowed. Right? You can in general, if you know there's a panel, you can write to them and you can ask them, you can request them to enter your name into the panel. That is it. Nothing other than that. Right? So that is all about application for empanelment, for allotment of audit and other professional work. Is it clear with you? Just 2-3 specific points that you can get name registered over there. Only if you know, you can send them an application. You cannot ask them whether you have a panel or not, and you cannot send an application with quoting the fees and everything like that. Right? Now moving on to the next, we have publication of name or firm name by chartered accountant in the telephone and other directories, which is published by the telephone authorities or the public bodies. Now this is again one thing you need to understand. So nowadays, most of you may not have seen a telephone directory, right? But it exists. Although how much advanced we are in technology, telephone directories, they still exist. If you ask your dad, he must be having one. You must have also seen it, although you don't use it. Why? You have your just dial, you have your contacts everywhere, you have a phone book in your phone, right? Earlier telephone directories were one of the most important sources, right? So till today it is used, right? So it says that publication of the name or firm name by chartered accountant in telephone or other directories published by telephone authority or private bodies. So what happens is, if you have a telephone directory, then you always see that the name appear in the alphabetical sequence. A, B, A, B, A, C, then A, D. It goes like that. A, B, A, B, B, A, B, C. Right? If any one of you have ever seen a telephone directory, it always goes like that. So if you are a chartered accountant, right, then one of you, what you did, you said, yeah, okay, if my name is over there, there are lots of names in the telephone directory. How can somebody track my name? Right? It's difficult. You have to go like a dictionary in the serial order. So what you did is that you paid some fees to the private body and said, please, when you are writing my name over there, highlight it or give it a separate position in the first page, right? Or give some more descriptions. You actually intend to make it attractive to the eye, to make it catchy to the eye, so that if anybody is turning that book, that directory, right, you try to make sure that the person sees your name and number. If you are into any of such attempt, you are guilty of professional misconduct. Why? Because over here again you are trying to solicit client. Why will you? Telephone directory is for general use. Come on. You cannot get your advertisement through that telephone directory. Right? It is as simple as that. But yeah, lately the council has also given permission that yeah, you people as chartered accountant, if there's a separate group, you can get your name registered in that group. So that if people are looking out to that group, they can see your name over there. But otherwise, there are no other means that are open to you where you can solicit. So if you get any question in the examination that he has used bold letters, italic letters, he has colored it, given so much of description, rearranged his position, whatever anybody did, he will be deemed to be guilty. If he just leaves it plain, there is directory maintained for everybody. He has also given his name over there. Somebody has come and taken it. It's okay. If your name appears in the directory, it's okay. But if you have made a special attempt to focus on your name, then you will end up into a big trouble. Clear with it? Anything else? If see whatever topics I'm teaching you over here, if you have any queries with that, you can share it. There's no problem with that, right? We'll try to answer your queries also. Okay. Now moving on to the next point is responding to tenders, advertisements, and circulars. So what do you think is the catch in this point? Tenders, advertisements, circulars, these things are prohibited, right? You're not supposed to do these things. So it is prohibited means prohibited. So what is the difference that the institute wants to talk through this point? Now understand, the first word of the statement, responding to tenders, advertisements and circulars. It is not your advertisement, it is not your tender, it is not your circular, right? So there is somebody, any company, any firm, government department, bank, anybody, they have rolled out a tender generally into the market and you come to know about it. They have made an advertisement that yes, we are looking for a chartered accountant who has this qualification, who has this much of an experience, and who can do these professional work for us. But there are certain circulars that have come out, right? And you are a hero. You are an attentive chartered accountant. You know the market. You are updated with all these things. What you do is you respond. Okay, this is your tender. I would like to be a part, right? So if you think you can give me that contract, that tender, you can give it to me. I'm sending you my resume. It's not resume actually for a chartered accountant, but it's kind of the same thing because you want yourself to get selected. So you'll give all the information available with you. That is kind of a resume, right? Then advertisements, they have rolled out an advertisement, you have responded to it. Understand why these things are allowed is because over here your desperation is still submerged. It is because you asked, I have come to you. It is not, I have come to you, please take me in. That is a different scenario altogether. Right? Over here, because they have asked, you have given a response. It is a kind of help that you are doing for them. You are not soliciting client in this case. Clear with it? So I hope these 4 points are very clear with you. Coming up next, the points that we have will not be so lengthy for understanding as well, because now you know the crux. You have already got to know and you have understood the basics. So we can flip through them very easily, right? And there's one more thing I would like to remind you. I have seen a lot of books of a lot of authors. They go in with a lot of descriptions inside this. I don't know for what, right? But if you look at the material of the institute, anything that the institute has ever given out, these are the limited information that is available for you. So this is what the institute says. This is what the council says, right? So they will be checking your answer sheets based on these information that I have given you, right? So if you have these specific detailed points in your mind, that will be more than enough for you. You just need to know then how to write your answer, right? And as I've already told, as professional ethics is one of the most important topics we have in audit. 16 to 20 marks is the range always. So after completing this chapter, that means after completing with all the clauses, I will also discuss questions and answers with you, right? How to write the answers and how to go about with everything will all be discussed. We will take a couple of classes more on this chapter, but we will complete it till the end. I don't want to leave any task on your end because I know half of you will do and half of you will not. To be precise, not more than 20% of you will do what I say. So, even I was lazy when I was a student, I was lazy as you. Reading is always a bore for me. It's good if somebody explained it to me. So over here, I am trying to give the same service to you. I'm explaining each and everything to you. Just pay attention and go by the classes. And you will be very well prepared for the examination. Right? That will be all for the day today, and I'll see you guys back in the next lecture where we'll continue our discussion for clause 6 for the other prohibitions that we have seen, right? So until the next class, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you and bye-bye.